During the game, obviously, you guys, as the game progressed, it seemed like y'all settled down. Y'all had a little bit more success as well. Was that just a byproduct of everyone settling down a little bit? Was it some adjustments that were made along the way? What was it that led to you guys having a little bit more success as the game wore on?
Yeah, I think it was just a combination of all that. You know, it was. I mean, I don't know how many of you were there, but that's a pretty dynamic atmosphere. It's as good as anywhere in the United States. I mean, it's, you know, and I've been there a bunch, and it's as good as I've seen it. So, I just, you know, I think OU put a lot into it. Honestly, their coaches said they put a lot into it. So, you know, it's game one. They got a lot of new people on offense, so they're out to prove something. You know, defensively, they're obviously pretty motivated. Got a, you know, playing for a new coordinator. There's 85,000 people there. it was as good as I've seen. So you got to give the opponent a little credit for what transpired. You know, and you know, our guys went in there and they were pretty amped up. I think they were probably a little too amped up. Wanted to play well. You know, when you're 3 and out a couple of times and you give up a score, I mean, you start pressing a little bit, and that doesn't make things any better. So, took a quarter to settle down, and then once we settled down, I thought we played a really good second quarter. You know, went into halftime, and I thought our coaches and our players were tuned in. We had a really good halftime, and evidently they did too, because they came out and played pretty good in the third quarter, and then we had to settle down again. But I was just proud of the way the guys just, you know, they hung in there and played hard. That's all I can ask for. And if we, you know we got a lot to work on, so if we just continued to have that attitude as far as just, you know, work hard and go out there and play hard, I think we'll make improvements and win some games.
Dana, you've been through this obviously before. What's your approach when you're facing a team that nobody expects you to lose to them? For them, it's their Super Bowl. I mean, they come away looking competitive. You make their decade. How do you approach that sort of thing?
Same way we approached last week. It sounds like coach speak, but it's true. I don't know any other way to do it. You know, we have a routine that we try to get into. It's a little tougher this week based on 6 days, not 7 days, but we better get used to it because it's the same schedule next week, and it's the same schedule the week after that. So we got a plan, but you know, the hardest part about this plan is tonight. You know, we have to get the game over with, and we have to introduce the next opponent. So it's a challenging day today, but then tomorrow we're back on routine. And we have a way that we're going to practice, and we have an approach that we're going to take that, you know, we got to improve. I mean, the good news is we have a bunch of video we can watch tonight and, you know, show this is what needs to change, this is what needs to be better, this is how we execute things a little differently, and then we have an opportunity to be able to go out and practice it. So it doesn't matter who you're playing at this point in time. It matters about being able to improve what you do. So I would think I would be able to get the guys excited about being, you know, having an opportunity to improve and being able to do it in our own stadium for the first time.
You mentioned coach speak. It's a cliche, but is there any special message you have for them when you're going against a team like this after a tough loss, not looking ahead, all that kind of stuff?
It doesn't matter who we play. It just doesn't. It doesn't matter who we play. You know, well, I think they're purple, right? Aren't they purple? All right, so we're playing the purple team this week, okay? Last week it was the maroon team. So it gets to a point in the season where specific opponents mean a little bit more or a little bit less. I don't think that's necessarily true earlier in the year because it's really way more about you and your development and your improvement than it is anything else. So we'll focus on the purple team this week.
How did you come through the game health-wise?
Really good. Really good. There's nothing to report. You know, Patrick will be back. He'll practice this week. You know, we'll see what he looks like this week, and hopefully get some snaps out of him on Saturday. But we didn't lose anybody in that game.
Have you been able to scout the purple team yet much?
Yeah, we watched them yesterday. You know, so you know we focused on us and watched our game. You know, on the plane, got back at 3, back in the office in the morning, and watched us again, had a big meeting, and then moved on to the purple team last night. So obviously Prairie View is going to come in here and play hard. They've got good players. They've won football games. They're going to be excited, and we better get our tail ready to play. I mean, I'll say all the appropriate things, but it's way more about us and being able to improve on what we did. We did a lot of good things, but we did a lot of bad things that we got to fix.
Dan, I know you hit on it yesterday on the conference call about some guys in terms of who starts and who comes in. They all play. Just curious on the offensive line. I get at the left guard spot with Gio and Keenan. Was that just? I guess early on you had mentioned that those two transfers had come in and kind of asserted themselves. Was there anything that changed on that one? And then I guess also with DJ Small and Kadarian Smith.
Yeah, DJ's got to keep getting better. KD's got probably a little bit more experience than DJ does. Was really, really happy with Pepe, with Demarion Williams. He played really well. So we're still competing to find who our next corner is. That's an ongoing battle. Gio had kind of established himself as the starter, and then had a groin issue for about 10 days, and then got back for game week, but just hadn't really logged the amount of reps that we wanted him to log. So that's a big question mark right now too. As far as how they progress throughout the week, as far as who gets the starting spot, but they'll both play. And Dennis went in, Bardo went in and got I think around 8 or 10 snaps as well. So he's in that mix as far as guard as well.
As you look at that corner spot opposite Williams, I know you don't talk specific injury, but the issue with Colin right now, will it resolve itself sooner rather than later, whether you'll have him in the mix even throw in there as the guy that?
Yeah, we recruited him as a grad transfer because we needed another body there, right? We're pretty thin at corner. He hasn't practiced. I mean, that knee is still an ongoing thing. I mean, we anticipate him getting cleared at some point. Obviously, as a maybe we apply for a 6th year if he can't get it right. I don't know what we're doing with him yet. I haven't seen him in the practice field. I don't know if I think he's a good player. He started at UCLA for, a year or whatever it was. So, but I just haven't seen him practice yet. And then once he does get cleared, there's going to be a period of, getting him practiced to the point to where he knows what to do. So that's just, I know you want to talk about it, but I hesitate talking about somebody I hadn't seen practice yet.
Is there an argument to be made that in the first game, you guys as a staff may have learned more than you do throughout the year, just in terms of finally seeing your guys under the lights, seeing how they perform versus in practice? Is there an argument to be made there that you guys may have learned the most from what you actually had from that game?
Yeah, I think so. But what I'm anxious to absolutely the question is yes. But what I'm anxious to see is how we learn from what happened, and how much improvement can we make from game 1 to game 2. And how much we know it's ahead. I mean, there's some games ahead that game 3, 4, 5. I mean, those things 6. I mean, that 7. I mean, those games are going to be pretty challenging. So I'm anxious to see how we learn. And it's not like overlooking Prairie View by no means. It's improving to be able to beat Prairie View, and then it's improving to be able to beat the next opponent. And that's what I'm anxious to see more than anything. I mean, this team's, I think, got ability, and I was happy with our effort, and I think we're going to be able to, to do some really good things this year. But it's all about how much improvement can we make.
What did you see from your guys that you really liked?
Well, just the not quit thing. I mean, that's a hard situation to be in now. I mean, that's the biggest stage that there is. It's Sunday night. I mean, the guys know that everybody was watching that thing. I mean, it was a pretty highly rated ABC game, and everything we did, people were gonna see, and we got down. And a lot of teams had quit in that situation, and our guys didn't do that. So they kept fighting, kept playing. Felt like we kept our composure on the sidelines and in the game, and they're anxious to get back to work.
Dana, my apologies for showing up late. I don't know if anyone asked you this.
It's okay.
Well, I want to make sure
if you
I
do it
repeat.
again, we're not going to let you in.
I was glad nobody sat here. With Mulba specifically, he came in and looked like he gave you a lot of tough runs. And so is there anything that you saw from him maybe that from camp that you're encouraged, or just, having him available there, because you said you were going to use several backs throughout the year here?
Yeah, those guys tend to get beat up, because that's such a punishing position. I mean, you ask those guys to do so much, and they're the ones that are going to carry the ball more than anybody. They touch it more than anybody. So you need a bunch of them. We played 3. Get Patrick back. Keenan Walker played, I think, 6 snaps of special teams. He didn't play at all in camp. So he just started practicing a week ago. So we're getting him back. Terrell Brown's looked really good at times. He's still young. So who ends up playing is based on who's available at that position. So we're going to need them all at some point here during the year.